Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all the people who are joining us today. And we are here for the third live session on LinkedIn. I'm Anamika, and with me today here is Tanmay as co-founders of the
Hi.
Transformational Lab. So today's session is going to be about emotional triggers, their root causes, how to find those root causes, and we're also going to talk about a few ways in which you can heal yourself. So, welcome everyone. Hi, Tanma.
Hi. Good evening to you.
So, if anybody can confirm to us, hi, Prashant. Thank you. Yeah, so we hope we are clearly audible and visible to all of you. So, all the people who are watching, please say a hello so that we can know you're there. So, beginning the session, what are emotional triggers? Before we get into any other part of it, what are emotional triggers and where do they come from? So, Tanmay would please, we would like love to hear from you first.
I uh,
Thanks, Prashant.
yeah.
Thanks, Aparna.
Hi. Okay. So your question is what are emotions, right? Before
No,
getting
what are
into
emotional triggers?
emotions, okay.
Emotional triggers.
Okay. So let us go back a little. People get confused between feelings, thoughts, and emotions. They are all jumbled, mumbled up. So emotions is the deepest part of us. From there originates feelings and thoughts and whatever we uh, think as emotions. Emotions is the deepest part. And emotional triggers for me would be see, we have to understand first emotions. It is emotion. It is always in motion, first of all. It's never stationary, it's always moving. So, what are the triggers? See, emotions always like water takes the path of least resistance. Okay. Suppose I have been in the childhood, whenever maybe 10 days back, I was insulted. So that pathway has been created. Okay. The next time before experiencing that insult, my body will be triggered.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So before that, I'll make it up in my head that I'm about to be insulted, so I'll get aggressive. I'll start gaslighting or I'll start using techniques so that that insult experience does not come to me again because that pathway is created. So through that pathway, you have seen how water flows.
yeah.
In your house, if you see how water comes, they will always have one pathway, two pathway, three pathway. Numbers are not important, but it is a defined pathway.
Mm-hmm,
कहीं से
mm-hmm,
वो सीप करे या कहीं से वो अंदर आए, it's a defined pathway. So who is telling the water to come from there? They only find the path to least resistance. That's how emotions also flow. That is my understanding, my experiential understanding, going deeper into myself.
mm-hmm,
So triggers are your past, our past,
mm-hmm.
which we have made it a memory. So we go back to the memory, retrieve it from there, and react accordingly with a memory that last time it happened. It can be anything. You can connect it with anything, any emotional experience, any emotional experience.
Right,
Yeah, so
right.
that is how we uh, as humans respond. This is how animals respond, and
Right.
maybe
Right. Have
plants,
you
maybe
just,
plants too.
I mean, let's suppose my dog did something. I'm just taking a very small example. Let's suppose my dog did something and I started shouting at him. Like I started screaming at him that why did you do that and why? And at that point of time, I just had maybe a few guests at home, and that is why I shouted at him. And even that, not just with humans, I guess you're right on this, that it gets registered even in animals' memories. Okay. And then again, for
I'll say
repeating
even
it, he
plants.
would,
I've seen them in
yes.
happening in plants. Somebody last time
Right.
when we were doing a live session, or I don't know, open discussion somewhere, someone said that how she is into gardening and how she speaks and sends love to the plants every morning, and she sees the difference between the growth of a plant. So emotions is any sentient being has emotions, or
Right.
is connected to his or her emotion, or its emotions.
Though I feel that intensities and varieties of emotions may differ. That's just how I feel it. That the variety may differ and the intensity might be different, but we all sentient
See,
beings
might
are
you might call it that the severity of it, or maybe the automation of it is there. They don't experience it as an experiencer. Of course, they don't. But that we cannot say that it is different from us. We Nobody knows how does an animal process its emotions. Nobody knows, but they mimic.
right.
See a monkey processing its emotions. They're very close to humans. Expressions, the body language changes, and
Right.
the eyes pupil starts changing. So they're very close to whatever we think. They are very close to humans. I was reading somewhere that orangutan, that
Mm-hmm.
is very so close to humans. They know how when to cry. If they see their masters dying, or they see deaths, they start crying. So what I'm trying
Right.
to say is any trigger has a past. Any trigger comes from the past. Past
Yes.
doesn't mean 10 years,
Right.
20 years back only. Past means yesterday also.
And
Past
I
means in
guess
the morning also.
this is the most important distinction, because somehow, I mean, we have been fed with the idea that anger is bad or sadness is bad or any kind of emotional response. I mean, we keep labeling many different emotional responses as bad. Okay. Now the thing is, that is the main reason why we need to understand this, is that not all emotional responses like anger, fear, sadness are always triggers. So the triggers are, when they become triggers, are when that strong, really intense emotional response comes out of a memory which was fed in the past, maybe your childhood, maybe some trauma you faced, maybe any event which happened, maybe any experience you had with somebody, and the same thing happens in your present, and then you go back to the past unconsciously, and you respond so strongly and so intensely, as if uh, um, it is happening to you again. So that is why it is so important to distinguish between triggers, emotions, like emotions which are somehow named as bad, to especially identify them as when they are triggers and when they are not. Because there could be a chance you are just genuinely angry on the situation, and then there's something just happening, and it's not coming from the past, it's not coming from a trauma. Not all anger is like that, not all sadness is like that, not all. Let's suppose you just find a dog on the street or a cat on the street, and you develop a connection, and then you feel something, and maybe it was so hungry that you start feeling bad. That is not a response all the way coming from your trauma. Okay, it could be, it's coming from the past only, it's your only, it's not something else or somewhere else's. It's not somebody else's, it's your only, but it's not coming out of a past event, experience, memory, or trauma. This is a thin line difference, what we need to understand before we start labeling our expressions as a trigger. Because we use it very commonly. I get triggered when you do this, I get triggered when you do that. So,
Yeah, and the second reasons wherein the the origination of the so-called problem is because the first sentence which we learnt in school was man is a rational being. Man is not a rational being. Man is an emotional being. When I say man, I mean humans, man and woman both. It's a very we work from our emotions rather than our rational side of our existence. So any behavior is related to the emotions rather than the rational. We say change this behavior. Until and unless you change that emotion, a behavior change is not possible.
Right. Absolutely.
You
A
know,
behavior change is an outcome of
it's just an
being in
outcome. Yeah.
experience of being aware of that emotion itself. And I guess
Mhm.
um, that is the most important point when it comes to emotions, that are we really feeling our feelings? Are we really aware of our emotions? So they are all strong, intense reactions, not even responses, is because एकदम झट से, like in a second we just responded, how could you do this to me, how could you say that to me, okay, this is not right, or this is really wrong, or this is unfair, or I mean, we have not even gone through all the areas of the story and we just start reacting. We have not taken any pause, we have
Absolutely.
not had any awareness, and it's just now coming bursting out of
Absolutely.
us because
Yeah.
yeah.
It might seem out of context here, out of syllabus here, but somehow our mind says that incidences repeat in life. No incidence is same as the previous one. Everything is fresh. Everything is new because we are changing.
Right.
We are changing. Emotions again go back to the what we talked about. It is emotions. It keeps changing. It keeps changing. It keeps changing, and we want it permanent. Somehow in a memory it is permanent. That response has been
Right.
saved there. It's like a motherboard which has saved whatever you call it in the computer, which is saved there. We go there, retrieve it from there. Okay, you insulted me, I was insulted 10 years back also, so I'm using this memory to react that way.
Right.
So what is
Right.
the
I'll
solution?
give you,
Solution.
yeah,
Mhm.
please, please. So sorry.
Continue, I'll give you.
Yeah. So I was just about to give an example that people who go through abandonment, let's suppose in childhood, so there's no specific time for when they come out of it. Different people come in different time, come out of it in different timelines. But I mean, they always have a fear that if I get close to somebody, and then this person would leave me again, because my parents left me in my childhood, because my somebody left me in my childhood, because my friend left me in my childhood, or whenever, maybe when you're 7 years old or
True.
10 years old, or maybe you had your first relationship and you were and just that your partner left you, and then
That is
getting
where
in,
the
and
yeah,
exactly, and you so
absolutely.
scared,
And the
and the moment the your another partner, your current partner says something like that, before even listening, you just start reacting. Are you going to do this? Are you planning this? Are you thinking of this? Anything like that.
absolutely.
So
I'll tell you my experience. When I was a kid, naturally online was not there, so people used to go to the market to get things. And my parents,
okay, I thought you're
whenever
about to say I
evening
used to go for a date. Okay, continue.
to the market, and every
Hmm.
evening my parents used to go to the market to get vegetables, everything. That at that point of time, absolutely, you physically shops होते थे. And that moment I still recall as a feeling of abandoned, as a feeling of being alone. And the biggest complaint I had for many years was this. Of course, a parent won't understand it at that point of time, but you have to go and dissolve it. So that this doesn't come again when you are experiencing, because we don't see the incidences. We go to the emotions. I felt abandoned. For me, abandoned is important. What they did, how they did, why they did, when they did is not important. So abandoned, I'll pick
Right.
up and save it in my hard drive. Okay. And I'll use this abandoned feeling Whenever I experience that again, two incidents won't be similar. The same incident won't happen, but I will use it as a source of information. I know this abandoned feeling. Okay, you are about to abandon me. So I'll react the same way as I did donkey years
as
back.
a
So
child.
that is how we work as a child.
Right, right. So these are mostly, I guess, uh, um, our reactions which are stored in the hard drive or the soft drive or in our memory, which are arising out of any kind of trauma, or at least as something which we perceived as trauma. Okay, and we don't know. Maybe of course, our parents didn't mean to inflict trauma on us. They didn't do it intentionally that I have to make my child feel like that. That's fine. Okay, but then another truth is that we perceived it as a trauma. We perceived it as rejection, as shame, as guilt, as abandonment, or as anything like any kind of sadness, any kind of anger. We felt controlled. We felt so many different things, and mostly they all arise from trauma. So that is where we need to really be aware of um, how we are still perceiving things. And I guess like awareness is one important key, because you cannot dissolve your triggers until and unless you recognize them. So recognizing them is the first step itself.
True, true, true. Recognize as it is, not as you want it to be. That's the main major. And we normally get confused between thought and an emotion. Suppose
Right.
I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm unable to. There are many people who keep saying for the past 2 years, 5 years, my alarm goes up, and I've been switching it off. So we are working from a thought. It is not coming from emotion. So thoughts, if we start working from a thought, we won't be able to execute it unless and until this becomes our emotion. That's the biggest misunderstanding between thought and emotion. दो इसको डिफाइन करना बहुत मुश्किल है, वर्बलाइज करना मुश्किल है व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज द डिफरेंस, बट understand it is like emotions are heavy. Emotions are the basic family. Okay, subsets are thoughts and feelings and moods,
Yeah. So
and both
all the
thrive on
people who
each
are
other.
watching this
Both are
right
independent.
now,
Any question, one question, one
please
mind
feel
becomes so
free to ask
conditioned. I
your
don't know.
question.
Mind becomes so conditioned with some kind of emotion that it seems an event has repeated and triggered the absolutely, absolutely. So, what's your question?
So,
I can't see the name
no,
here.
we were just adding on to it. If you
If you can give some glimpse about triggers for the positive emotions. Most of the time, we have been taught to work on negative or challenging triggers. I am unable to get a question. Scan question. मौसमी का है?
Okay, so
If you can.
possibly what Mosami is trying to ask is she wants us to talk about positive triggers. And
Okay, okay. So this
yeah, that's
feeling of
that's an
safety,
interesting.
feeling of love, feeling of completion, feeling of understanding each other or being understood, uh, experiencing merging, experiencing unconditional love. These are positive emotions. And emotions
But
have counterparts to it.
but
And
I'll add on to what Tanmay is saying. All this is absolutely true, or that there are a lot of things which happen in our present moment, which, like for an example, let's suppose somebody showers love to me, then it will remind me of my dad. Okay, that how he used to love me, how he used to give me chocolates and everything. Uh, in our experience, by design, are we created in a way that we don't hold on, we hold on hard, we cling to the positive situations, okay, but the moment that positivity is about to be taken away, something that negative trigger, which we call, we usually don't call it a negative trigger or anything, but that emotional response which we somehow, I don't know how we label as negative, comes into place. So the thing is that both the things, what you're naming as positive and negative, they are not the opposites of it. Be it a negative thing happening to you in the present moment, how we label it as negative, your response is that, a negative emotional trigger, which we call. But something positive happened to you, then also your response is you will feel happy. But at the same point of time, when you are feeling unconditional love, you'll also be feeling the fear that, oh my God, if I lose this person, then what? So, by default, by design, we hold on to these emotions which bring us down. Why? Because that is our
especially
pattern.
Mosmi, for you, uh, what is negative to you would also depend on where your attachment goes, your root goes. Suppose as a child I was slapped once or thrice, or I was a child who was beaten up. So my emotions go there. As a child, I did not feel safe. So wherever I feel unsafe, in a closed space, or maybe a new place, or maybe with new people, so that part of me will get triggered. So
Right.
that new place is not responsible for that trigger in me. That memory of that emotions is a trigger for me. I hope I have answered you, because इसमें questions ना थोड़े से miss हो सकते हैं, unless and until we speak up to each other. If it doesn't happen mechanically, that is through thought, then how do you create an emotion? Emotions you have to create. Say getting up at 4:30 cannot be getting up at 4:30. It has to be connected to your health. It has to be connected to your feeling of good feel factor. Unless and till the time you're forcing, your focus is on 4:30, you'll not be able to get up.
You'll not be able to get up,
You'll not be
follow
able.
your bliss, follow your bliss. Not you have to get up at 4:30, but you have to focus on how would you feel if you get up at 4:30.
Get
Follow your
attached to
bliss.
that feel of getting to at 4:30. Create
Right.
that neural pathway of the feel of getting at 4:30. Start automating it. You'll not need an alarm. I think I was giving your example only, Bhav.
I when you were
Vanshika, how do
answering
we?
Mosami's question, one very important thing came to me, Tanmay, which I would like to mention here. Emotional triggers happen regardless of how your current mood is. So I forgot to mention
Absolutely.
that.
We can't hear you. You're muted yourself. Can people hear Anamika? You're muted yourself, Anamika. Okay, let her join back. I'll take up Vanshika, then I'll take up a karma. Okay, Vanshika, how do we become more mindful about emotions and feelings? Any practical approach? See, I don't know what you mean by practical approach. The question has to be better. Question for me would be, how do we become more mindful? Ki jagah, why are we not mindful? What stops us from being mindful? How do we is a very subjective question. I don't know you, so मेरा नहीं बोल पाऊंगा मैं, but there's no practical approach to it. No practical as in I'm understanding कि कोई step wise या standard operating process करके there I for me no, for me no, there are no practical approach. Simple activities or simple things we can do when you're brushing your teeth, so you start being aware I'm brushing my teeth. the body is brushing the teeth, or when you're eating, keep repeating yourself, the body is eating. So yes, these are the, if that is a practical approach. Is anger always a trigger? I don't personally think so. Anger can come absolutely out of love also. So the trigger, if we understand it as some baggage or a past, maybe not. Anger is not always a trigger.
Am I
You're
audible
back.
and visible now? Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
अकर्मा
I
का है.
was, I
Okay,
heard you.
okay. You
I
repeat.
heard
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yes. No, I was just saying one very important, I was just saying this one thing which you mentioned while answering Mosami's question. Emotional triggers have nothing to do with your current mood. Let's suppose you're very happy, okay, and you're very happy and you're just joyful, and you, or maybe you're just doing your daily chores, and something happens. Out of a sudden, an intense reaction would arise. Okay, so that is also one another way of seeing that where it is coming from, right? And I guess Vanshika asked that, are there any ways to be more?
I have
Um,
replied on that. Uh,
yes.
uh, understand the difference also, Vanshika, between emotions and feelings. Mostly we get confused between it, or the thoughts. The thoughts are not the emotions.
How
So yeah, that
also
is one
about
of the.
emotions and feelings. For me personally, I'm saying feelings are more momentary in nature. Emotions are more long term, which are stored with me from it has a bigger frame for me. That is how I experience emotions and feelings, and there's no exact way to distinguish or bifurcate them and say that this
Yeah,
is a
just
feeling and not an
understand this way
emotion.
that emotions are more subconscious and an unconscious state, which drives feelings and thoughts and moods. The driver is emotions. Suppose I am in a state of feeling expanded, or a state of feeling experiencing bliss. So that bliss emotional state will create a certain thoughts and feelings. Okay. Have you ever got to a station and start shouting there? I'm very angry right now. Most of us won't, right? Because our emotional state is shifting now. So mostly we are happy or in a more expanded state. So the similar would be the uh, behavior, call it behavior, the feel, the thought. But suppose someone has been fighting throughout the journey before reaching the whichever the hill station would be. So her or his emotional state would be different. So there are many permutation combination. इसमें एक चीज एक घंटे में नहीं बोल पाएंगे और एक चीज है भी नहीं. It's a
No, and
very
there is
layered.
there's no linear
There's
way
no
to
limit.
distinguish between if it is a feeling or an emotion because they both are entangled. It's just that one has a bigger space and another is more momentary in nature, which is just coming and flowing, while the other has deeper roots. It can be connected and it can come from different spheres and different areas. Now,
I'll
one
just
very
get water,
important thing,
Anamik.
sure, sure. So, if any of you have any questions about this, please keep asking your questions. Mosumi, your question is: do anger and sadness both are a very powerful in emotional state of expressions? Of course, depends. I mean, there are many stages of being angry, and there are many stages of being sad. The difference of when anger and sadness is coming out of a trigger, it will take you back. If you are aware in that moment, it will take you back. But when it is not, let's suppose I and Tanmay start fighting. I mean, we'll just give a real life example. It's not like we don't fight. We fight at times, and we are like, we are like, you don't understand this, and he'll be like, you don't understand this, and then we'll be like, after 10 minutes, we are just back to normal, and then we are giggling and laughing and working together. That is not a trigger because it did not come from that space of trauma. It just came from, we were just discussing something. Maybe I was not understanding, he was not understanding. And once the moment we both understand and we are back to the same space. So that if it is a strong, it is a very powerful emotional state of expression. It is because there are many different intensities and variations to it. But yes, I mean, there could be anger like I'll go kill somebody and I actually go and kill somebody. That's a very different state. I start screaming. That is a very different expression. So, same emotion, but it really depends. It is again not very linear.
You
So,
were answering Moshmi. I think we missed one. Okay,
did we?
we have taken. Okay, okay. No, I like ये कर्मा का Sachin had a question: is anger always a trigger? Am I right? And
Mhm.
I think I missed it. I'm not able to see that question. Can you see it?
That's okay. That's yeah. I guess it got answered with Mosami's question only. Not all, and we said in the beginning as well that not all kinds of these
देखो
emotional responses are
इमोशंस का
triggers.
सबसे बड़ा ट्रूथ ये है डोंट सी इमोशंस एज judgments and through verbalizations. The same anger can be an expression of love. I've always seen a loving person and angry person too, because the emotions is the same. It's just the extreme. यहाँ पे अगर anger है, I hope I'm able to see both the hands people. If my right hand is anger and the left hand is love, so we keep moving towards the extremes. A silent person will is very difficult. A silent person or a very quiet person is very difficult to move towards any extreme. So what I'm trying to say, any emotions is subjective also. My way of showing love can be anger, or my way of showing love can be getting angry. So it is very subjective. इसको ना कोई theoretical knowledge नहीं है ये. It has to be, you have to raise your awareness to understand it, and your feelings and your the feel of it, the feel of that anger. Of course, in that heat moment, it looks like anger. It looks like anger.
No, but then again, coming back to the story, not all anger, not all sadness is a trigger. Okay, so again, the same thing what we repeated in the beginning
I
that
like the best, which
if it
I
is
always use this. And anger is an active sadness, and sadness is an inactive anger. So they both are connected also. So that is how it is. So it is, if you see it, it is very complex. If you want to see it simply, it is very simple. Somehow that judgment has been made that anger is wrong or something, or crying is wrong. So these are just human made judgments. एंगर अपने
yes,
आप में खराब नहीं है.
nothing. In fact, no, all emotions are valid and all emotions are beautiful and all emotions have their place. Okay, none of them can
Absolutely.
be said as right or wrong or good or bad. Depends contextually. Yes, we can say that contextually, everything can be subjectively said. But overall, if we see, we cannot just simply go and label anger as something bad. Okay, it's just an expression. But yes, yes, when it is a trigger, which is coming from a memory, a past trauma, then that definitely is something which we need to look into. Why? Now, why we even need to look into our emotional triggers? Because first of all, we need to understand we are interdependent species. Okay, we are like that. I mean, by design, we are like that, and that is the beauty of life that we are interdependent. Now, if you do not look after your emotional triggers, it is going to disturb, it has anyway disturbed your relationship with yourself, because now you've already worn that mask which is not letting you go inside and even connect to those parts of you which you start labeling and judging. It is also going to impact your relationships, because because the same story will keep going on in your life. You'll keep rejecting your parts of you, you'll keep getting triggered, and also you'll keep attracting people who'll trigger you in the same way. Okay, it can be really difficult for you and for the other person to have a really healthy relationship, a really healthy relationship. That is why it's so important to look after, because relationships is not just you and your spouse, you and your girlfriend or boyfriend, or you and your romantic partner. Relationships is everything, everywhere. Your parents, your friends, your co-workers, trees, and your pets, and everything is a relationship. Everything, maybe one or the other type of relationship. You cannot get out of it. You're here in this body, you'll have to have relationship. No choice for that. And it is going to impact your relationships the most. So
Absolutely. Until unless the relationship becomes relating, so mostly the emotions are in the verbs. It is an action. It is not love, it is loving. It is not life, it is living. So, what I'm trying to say, unless and until it converts or transforms into, till that time, that bondage is there, that triggers are there, that triggers are there. And वो root cause में जाना बहुत जरूरी है. We don't go to the root cause because then we have to get our parents into the picture, then we have to get our so-called relatives, friends into the picture. So we all hurt each other unmindfully. We all um, there are many people whom, if you go deeper, you'll start understanding where this does this root cause go to, and it can go to our parents. It can go to. I'm not accusing the parents of being bad or good, but that is how it is. Even they are
it mostly
humans.
goes to the parents. Mostly goes to the parents.
I was trying
Let's
to
be.
sugarcoat it.
No, no, no. It mostly goes to the parents, and it's fine. I mean, I was just having a conversation with one another coach. True, we can understand. We all have the capacity to understand that our parents are just human beings, and they are just human beings, and they make mistakes, and that's fine. And we have forgiven them. That's fine, absolutely fine. But another side of picture is from your side. You felt abandoned. You felt rejected. You felt something in your childhood. So rather than putting any kind of cloth over it, feel it. Okay, own your feelings that yes, I felt abandoned. Okay, I felt abandoned. And
A band-aid approach doesn't work. A
doesn't
band-aid
work.
approach doesn't work. यहाँ पे चोट लगा
वो
तो यहाँ पे
हिंदी
एक
में
बैंडेड
बोलते हैं ना,
लगा दिया.
जामा
That won't.
जामा
वो जामा
पहनाना. There's
पहनाने
no
से कुछ.
need to, yeah.
Emotions don't go by parking it somewhere or by hiding it somewhere, unwilling to see it. It won't go. It will convert itself into something else. Maybe 5 years later, you will not be able to recognize that. क्योंकि वो मास्क पहन लिया दूसरा. Suppose I was abandoned as a child. Example. So this abandoned, if I don't work on it, it will get masked into my feeling of lovelessness or my feeling
Hmm.
of throwing people away when I feel loved. So it becomes very complex then. तब तब उसको रूट्स में जाना ना बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है क्योंकि उसकी वो उसके सब रूट्स निकल गए हैं उसके स्टेम्स के सब स्टेम्स निकल गए हैं. So you have to go from sub stems to the stem, from stems to the roots. So it becomes very difficult. So no emotions can be dissolved until and unless awareness is developed. No
And
emotions. There are no
you
process.
don't, not emotions again. You don't have to dissolve your emotions. You just have to be aware of your triggers, that which ones are the ones who are responses of your triggers. So emotions, I mean, we are emotional we are beings with emotions, so nothing we can do to let go of
I didn't
them.
say that emotions all. I know. Did I mean that? No.
No, no,
Emotions नहीं
I
हटाना है
was
नहीं, या
just
तो बोल
making
करो.
sure. No, you won't believe because people sometimes misunderstand it.
अरे
They
मायनो.
have gone into suppression of a lot of things. So, and yes, relationships are a very important part. And the opposite side of relationships, the beauty of it, if you watch your relationships, all your relationships have the capacity to show you your triggers. They are your opportunity. Okay. Because who else will trigger you? You cannot get triggered in a vacuum, right? Your relationships are the one who are triggering you. So that is your opportunity to just step back for a moment, take a pause, be aware, and then okay, you want to get angry, then react.
So, so emotions change their type. Emotions every moment keeps changing. No emotions are there. It is emotion. It is always in motion. It is always in motions. So yes, they change their types and they change their types faster if you are aware of them. The moment you put the searchlight on it, it changes. It starts changing. The more you hide, the more difficult it would be. So whoever that LinkedIn user is, I don't know. I'm getting this LinkedIn user. I don't know who
Yes,
he
even
is
I
or she is.
cannot see it.
Hmm.
I don't know what's the reason. And so your relationships are mirrors. Use them, not use them as in use them, but just use them as an opportunity to see your triggers, okay? Because they are the ones who are bringing it to you. Now it's your turn to see and to look by becoming aware that when you are
I'm
actually
sorry. I'm sorry.
responding out of, oh God, please, seriously,
आज पहले ही अनामिका बोल दी थी don't use this, but I can't stay without it right now.
oh God.
Okay, it's like I'm some Jersey or something. Anyways, any more questions? Thanks for the explanation. Pooja Pathak, nope for what? Pooja Pathak has become a CA, so congratulations to her.
Now, one more thing, like somebody was talking about the methodologies. So there is no straight linear way to become just aware, but yes, there definitely are certain ways which are proven. You can go through them and you can become more aware, of course. So how it would happen, how it would, in how much time, all those things cannot be defined, but these things are great tools
For
because
that,
they are within
workshops
all
is
of
there.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't share
So
everything
just
here.
yeah. Just
For
maybe
that,
watch your
ask
breath.
us. Okay, ask us. We'll tell you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
So
yeah.
still
Any
let
more
me tell one.
questions?
Watch your breath. Okay, watch your breath. Watch your breath.
As much
Breathe,
as you can. And
be in
breath
the
and
present
emotions have
moment.
a very strong correlation. Okay,
Very, very,
that will
very.
be explained in the workshop, no doubt. But I can only give you a hint that it is related. It is not only correlated.
Right, right. So breath is one important junction
Means
which can help
emotions
us.
control our behavior. It doesn't control as in control. It is responsible for our behavior. Every behavior pattern relates to an emotional part to us. Every behavior pattern. See a child in a school, a 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child, how he behaves will tell about his emotions. A good teacher, a good teacher will find out the gaps in his or her emotional parts by his or her behavior. And that's very easy. A child who's not getting attention will behave differently in school. or who feels he is not getting attention. Let me put it this way, because it's a very difficult for us to verbalize all this. So what I'm trying to say, Mosumi, is emotions control our behavior. Of course, if you want to change your behavior, you have to go and see and be aware of the emotions. There's always a thick cord, a cord which is attached to your emotions. That's why you're behaving like this, or I am behaving like this.
Right. Right. So now, this is what we have about the emotional triggers. Where do they come from? And how to maintain
How
peace
to
with
maintain?
these triggers. First become aware of those triggers, recognize those triggers. Once you've recognized those triggers, that yes, this is my trigger, half of the work is already done, because you did a big job of at least recognizing them. After that, like we talked about, all the emotional triggers are a response from our those intense responses from our coming out from our childhood trauma or events or anything which got stuck in the memory so hard. So now you have to explore that when was the last time you felt you were triggered in the same way, and then even before, and then before, and then before. Go as back, as many years back as possible, as far as you can go in your childhood, maybe 5 years old, then four, then three, then two, if possible, even a year old or 6 months old. That is something you need to do. And once you're just aware of it, they just, they come in your conscious awareness, and then most of the work is already done. And then you can further take use many different things like becoming more mindful, and maybe like we talked about breathing, to just see, keep it in check whether it's still there, how much it has dissolved, not coming from the space of judgment that it is something you need to fix yourself, because if you make that your
बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक वी डू दैट कि हमें
yes,
कुछ फिक्स
yes,
करना है अपने आप में, एंड समहाउ बाहर से
exactly,
कुछ सीमेंट लगा देंगे तो ये थोड़े दिन के लिए जुगाड़ हो जाएगा. जुगाड़ डजंट वर्क इन लाइफ. इट विल वीन ऑफ, द मास्क विल फॉल ऑफ. तो हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं जुगाड़ से हो जाए कि ये मैं बिहेवियर ठीक कर लूंगी अपना. We are not willing to go where it hurts us the most. Go back, connect the dots looking backwards, and you'll find the reasons for that trigger.
right, right.
And Pooja
And
Pathak, now you have to start attending the workshop. Now you are a CA, okay? आप जब तक student थे, I never requested you. So this time, yes. Pooja Pathak and we are
so
in touch
when
for the
to,
last maybe 2 years.
just a moment, Tana. We are
We
an
have not.
emotional being. Why does it take time to be aware of our emotions?
I'll
Because we're
take this
busy
question.
reacting. Yeah, please.
See, it's like asking a seed, why, why can't you become a tree on your own? A seed is the basic mysterious part. Can you see a tree inside the seed? No, there is no tree. There's only possibilities. So awareness is a possibility. If you are not willing to become a tree, that's our choice. We have given this choice, right? So yes, LinkedIn user, awareness is not something we are born with, of course, but that is a conscious decision or a conscious choice which we have to make. कि seed बन के आए हैं, we come as seeds. Do we want to become a tree or not? That's the question. So yes, LinkedIn user, that was a good question. Bhavna Bansal, so when to watch your breath? It's not about when to watch your breath, Bhavna. It's a very the basic reason or the basic uh, structure of our being is breath, the most important. Without it, we are not alive, and we forget that. So, whenever you get a chance, so your answer to this question is whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, no fixed time whenever you get a chance. And
There's
one
no
more thing I
fixed
would
time.
like to add to whosoever asked that question. We are an emotional being. Why does it take time to be aware of those emotions? I'm sorry I didn't clarify it before. It's not like we are not aware of those emotions. We are aware of those emotions. We somehow know that this is the emotion. We are not aware of where it is coming from. Why are we behaving the way we are behaving? That is what, when we say that become aware of your emotion, that is what we say that holistically actually become aware of your emotions, not just seeing it at the very surface level that yes, I'm getting triggered. It is now going digging deeper, that where it is coming from. Okay, and it's not an unnecessary digging which you have to do. We also talked about the reasons, and because emotional triggers are just there and they are somehow controlling your life because you have not paid them even attention. Those are the parts of you which you have rejected and they keep coming up seeking attention. Okay, so one time one part becomes dominant, another time another part becomes dominant. Okay, and you have not paid those parts attention, and that is why they respond in such way. Okay, those parts want is just attention, nothing else. So
हमारा फोकस ही
that
बाहर की तरफ है ना, हमारा फोकस कहाँ अंदर की तरफ है, हम सिर्फ सब चीज बाहर से देख रहे हैं ना, हम सब चीज समझते हैं कि बाहर से हो रहा है. That's a knowledge that we have been brought up with. हो रहा सब अंदर से. So one more question: if
one
we become peaceful with, say, a trigger which comes with your child doing mischief, how would we change the situation? Is it your child doing the mischief which is triggering you, or you're trying to control the situation which is triggering you? Answer that first, Bhavna, and you'll get to the reason for it, or the
no,
how do you
I just
become peaceful.
wanted to I just wanted to say this thing that like trigger is a word which we use very generic in very generic terms. Okay, and the way we are talking about triggers are not as simple as that. Now, going deeper, if your child is doing a mischief, just see where it is. If it is coming from a past memory, fear, any kind of fear for yourself, for your child, for in the whole situation, and how would we change the situation? I mean, you want to change yourself or the child or your child?
अपने को ही बदल सकते हो, आप दुनिया में किसी को नहीं बदल पाओगे. The only change is you. Rest all changes. LinkedIn user is Sneha. Sorry. Oh, Sneha. Sneha. I have five Snehas in the phone. Or there was an inquiry. I sent it to other. So which Sneha?
Okay,
आजकल मैं
that's
ना ब्रैकेट में लिखने लगा हूँ.
mhm.
Okay, she is
So
using Tanmay G and Anamika G. Oh God. Good. This must be okay. So any more questions?
we'll wrap it up. Otherwise, it's time. So if anybody has any questions, please
And
we can
start
just.
communicating with us what should be our live topic, because we want to go by what people want rather than what we are giving to them. Just keep start engaging with us. We would want to this topic to be discussed, or this topic to be okay. Sneha Keshari, hi. You are added to my
Hello.
you are in my contacts or connections. I don't know why LinkedIn user is there. So थोड़ा सा engage करो, थोड़ा type करना पड़ेगा, but do that and tell us what topics do you want, because these topics are not 1 hour topics.
Right.
आप जहां आगे बढ़ते हो अनामिका, आपका कैमरा बंद हो जाता है.
I have no idea. Now I have no idea why it got turned off. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I cannot see myself either.
The moment you come closer to the camera, na, it gets switched off.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not able to turn it on. Anyway, it's time, and I guess now it's
भावना का
time that we
लास्ट
wrap up
क्वेश्चन
the
ले
call.
लेता हूँ.
Sure.
हाउ डू यू नो दैट यू हैव ट्रांसफॉर्म? इसका एक ही लाइन में आंसर, यू विल नो.
Exactly. Some a guy was asking me yesterday, "Are you
इसका
enlightened?"
कोई रिपोर्ट कार्ड? हम्म,
No, no. A guy was asking
क्या
me
कर रहे
yesterday,
हो?
"Are you en
आपका डिस्को
Can
जैसा
you?
चल रहा है ये कैमरा. आई कैन हियर यू बट योर कैमरा इज लाइक गोइंग अप एंड भूत जैसा भूत घर में घुस के.
Okay, I have no idea. Can you just hear me now?
नाउ इट्स okay again gone. It's okay, continue. We can hear you. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So a guy asked me yesterday, "Are you enlightened?" So
absolutely. You should have
the
connected
only
the
thing,
call to me.
the only thing I could tell him is, I know I'm not. Okay. Because if I was, I would have known it. If I don't know right now, then I'm not.
These questions will drop, Bhavna. These questions will drop. जितना
I
सवाल
have
है
no
मतलब
idea
बहुत
what's
दूरी है. Your laptop is getting heated up, I guess.
can I have no idea
I
what's
can
going
hear you.
on.
You are there in the camera. We can hear you, but at times we can't see you. That's okay. We are also wrapping up. Any more questions,
Right.
people?
Yes. Okay,
So,
am I
no more
visible
questions.
now? Like fine?
You're visible. You're visible.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that is
So
what I was
let's
saying,
wrap
that
it up.
if you don't know if you have transformed, then you have not. Because if you are,
So
the
first thing
question
you
is
will
not
know
there.
if you're transformed.
Yes.
We don't know ourselves till we are not aware. The moment you become aware, you know yourself. अब उसके भी बहुत layered हैं. I'll not say it's as linear as that. The challenge of life is the layers. The challenge of life is not anything else. Everything is layered. Anger is layered. Love is layered. Uh, questions are layered. Everything,
Yes.
everything,
So
every
before we wrap
emotion.
up the call, one thing I wanted to tell everybody, that your all your emotions are valid. All your emotions are exactly where they are meant to be. So whenever you're doing any kind of work with yourself, be it inner child healing, be it any kind of healing work, be it anything, be it with your body, your mind, any kind of your heart, any kind of work, don't do it from the space that you need to fix yourself. You don't need to fix anything in you. Okay, you
You
just
don't need to fix.
exactly, you don't need a quick fix or something. You just, you are also not a single dimensional being, you're a multi-dimensional being. Okay, so just, you just have to see both in you, the parts which you accepted and the parts which you rejected, and both, so that you can, start integrating. Like, if you've seen a tree, it goes down to the roots, and the deeper the roots, the stronger the tree upwards. So this is like, this work is like that. Anything you do, it has both the sides. You, I mean, anyway, I'll not get into the esoteric details and all. So these are certain things. So please don't do any work from the space that you have to fix something in yourself.
You have to
Anything.
fix something, or you have to make a change, or you have to
Yeah.
get over sadness, or sadness will never be a part of you again, और कोई रिजेक्शन नहीं होगा, कोई रिलेशनशिप नहीं टूटेगा. डोंट कम फ्रॉम दैट स्पेस. दिस इज नॉट मैजिक दैट विल हैपन on its own. The
Yes.
people come with
Just
a,
be
like we go
okay.
to a hospital कि खांसी हो रही है, दवा दे दो, दवा खांसी ठीक हो जाएगी. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. The
Be
universe will
okay
not
where you
change.
are.
You are okay where you are. So
Yes,
that
yes.
answers your
So
question,
just
your last question, Bhavna.
because we go back in our hell when we stop chanting or praying or connecting with divine. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Go back in our hell. Okay. So
I
I
think we
don't
have
know what
answered this a
space.
lot many times. If you're coming from
Yeah.
the space of fear, you will go back to hell. You'll go back to hell
Exactly.
while chanting also.
Hell.
You'll go back to
Yes.
hell while prayers also. Because prayers is not
Exactly.
a tool to go through, to go away from fear. Prayer is
In
a
fact,
tool
you're
to accept
multiplying.
fear.
You
You are
are you're
multiplying it.
multiplying and
While
you're making your
chanting,
hell
if we
bigger.
are, मैं chanting करूंगी क्योंकि मुझे I don't want to go to hell, that chanting won't work. That will take you to hell only. And I'm not making you fearful, I'm not gaslighting you, that's how it is. Don't do anything to get out of anything.
Yes.
We
Yes.
cannot. There's a law of karma
Exactly.
also. There's one karma here also, that akarma. But there's a law of karma. So whatever is there, we cannot remove it. आप किसी चीज से भाग के कोई चीज पकड़ लोगे तो वो नहीं वर्क करता है, नहीं वर्क करेगा. वो
What
चैंटिंग
you
हो, स्टैंडिंग
resist
ऑन योर फीट,
persists.
persist. You
What you
have to go
resist
back
persists.
to the roots. That's all. You have to go back to the roots.
Yes, and you have to just stay there and face your fears and face the hell. Okay, if we are calling it hell, go stay there and just stand over there and just see. If you just see and face it, it will disappear. But if you keep saying that I'll pray and I'll chant and then so that I don't go in the hell, then you are in the hell.
Again, we are not saying that chanting and prayer or
Yes.
connecting with the divine is wrong.
Mhm.
But which space are you coming from? Which space are we coming from? If it is coming from the space of fear, is it coming
Yeah.
from the space of rejection,
Resistance.
resistance? कि मुझे वो नहीं देखना पड़े और इधर से मैं घुस जाऊं, उधर से गोची करके, वो नहीं पॉसिबल है.
ये सिर्फ जामा
कि
पहनाने की
chanting,
सारी टेक्निक्स हैं.
just see
We
that
just
if you
want
are,
shortcuts.
हाँ, कि वो इमोशन नहीं देखना पड़े, उसके ऊपर से कुछ और लगा दूं, मैं काला कपड़ा डाल दूं, दिखेगा नहीं मुझे.
Right.
So that is not how it works. So nothing against chanting, nothing against prayers. We are only talking of transformation. We have nothing against prayers. We have nothing against chanting. We have nothing against
Anything, of course, anything.
anything.
Like
These are
nothing
just
against any
tools.
of.
But before that
Exactly.
tools, important is you, the beingness of you. ये तो tools है ना.
The space of the tools, that are you using those tools to run away from things or to actually become capable to face those things? So it's a lot of things. It's your intention, it's your space, it's your emotion, as we talked about emotion. So Dhanay, it's we are pretty late on the call, 7 minutes late, so we will
Okay.
just wrap up the call
Okay.
now. So
So
all of
any more
you,
questions can be sent on DM. And
yes,
please suggest us more topics, people who are there, and we actually run out of topics. So please be there to help us. We'll keep coming.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. It was wonderful talking
Bye
to all of
bye.
you, Bhavna and Sneha and Pooja, Mosumi, everyone, Vanshika, Prashant. Thank you so much for joining us. It was amazing. Yeah, see you all again next Saturday.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Bye.
Bye.